Hello, everybody. My name is Martha Alter Hines, and I'm here today with my good friend Ari Moshe Wolfe. And this is a semi-impromptu conversation that we're having because we, in the last few days, had a really beautiful exchange that I loved. And I realized as Ari and I were talking about it more in just a offline way, how relevant it is to, I think maybe all of us. We could all relate to this phenomenon in many ways. And so we decided, yeah, why don't we have a conversation? Because I think it speaks to so much of what a lot of us are feeling right now, a lot of the astrology in this moment. And it was just such a beautiful demonstration of how we can approach all these energies and the moment we're in. And yeah, so I'm really excited. It's a very funny, very touching story, and I'll tell you it in a second. But thank you, Ari, for being here.
Yeah, thank you, Martha.
Yay. So I give my version of the story, and then you can add or
Jumping
change
right
it.
into it. All right, go
Is
for it.
that okay? See, Ari, I think is embarrassed, but I actually think is just so beautiful. So, is that okay?
Yeah, go for it. I love it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So Ari, Ari and I have a very, I would say, direct friendship. We're very direct with each other and very honest and in such a beautiful way. And, known each other for many years now. Uh, so Ari called me up the other day and said, bottom line, it said, "Hey, I need to talk to you. And I want to tell you, I'm feeling jealous. I'm feeling jealous of you because I just had this, big expansion in my own community and all these things, right? And my subscriber list went up and blah 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 blah, right? So Ari called me and just very directly said, I'm feeling jealous. And my body, that actually felt so clear and clean and good. And so I said, wow, that feels so clear and clean and good, thank you. um and then the next day, I noticed myself feeling jealous. And so I texted Ari and said, "Hey, guess what? I'm feeling jealous. Not of Ari, but of a different thing." And so we've had this back and forth of what is this whole jealousy, envy, comparison thing. We both know in our minds it makes no sense, right? But it's such a natural, normal thing. And I think in life, but especially in this moment we're in, there's this whole mm, narrative right now and a whole sense of us coming to a point where there's this talk about us being new earth and stepping in to be the being that we each came to be for the world in this time. And and so when we're feeling like we're supposed to be the being that we're supposed to be, it can be really confusing what that means or where we get the answer for what that is. And it can be really easy to do this comparison thing or this jealousy thing, or lots of feelings can come up. We're all humans, right? So I think, among other things, I think this story just speaks to the humanness of each of us and the fact that we will inevitably have these kind of emotions arise and funny funny feelings arise, and it's all part of it, right? And then there's so much astrology that comes in here, which I think we'll touch on, but I think that's the gist from my end of what happened. And do you
Yeah,
want
I
to?
mean, thanks for leading it and opening the door. I mean, it was uncomfortable for me at first to first be honest with myself that was there. And then once I caught it, I realized how healing and I knew safe it would be to express it to you, just for the purpose of not creating any kind of alien. It's almost like in the not expressing it, I would be creating alienation and kind of keeping it a secret, which I think is something we can all probably relate to. So here's the correlation. This is where it's really opened up some rich exchange between us and where we feel to share this with everyone here. In this current Saturn Neptune phase, like we're making this video right now. Right now, Neptune is still, if you look at your astrology software, it still has a little S next to it. It's stationing direct right now. We're at the very end of this long period of Saturn and Neptune balsamic, completing a cycle at the end of Pisces. There's so much really rich culmination. And I think there's a misunderstanding. Like we often think that like the culmination at the end of the zodiac with like a strong Neptune experience would be a lot of letting go and dissolving and disillusionment. I mean, it is, and it's not just that, right? It's not like literally everything in the world is falling apart. It's like there are other things happening as well. It's really allowing the cycle to happen the way it's meant to. There's the closure itself is we're surrendering, we're giving it over to the process that needs to happen. And I think a big part of the healing right now with Saturn Neptune are all the ways in which we've come to value and give meaning to the forms and the structures and the status and the sense of importance that we've created in this world. I mean, literally, it can be like in any 10,000 example, we might feel good about ourselves because we have a job that society respects and we're making enough money and like we check all of the Saturn boxes. And so Saturn, we can become conditioned to have given a lot of value and meaning to a structure or to a role or to a form. And a lot of this conditioning replaces a much more real and true experience of meaning that has nothing to do with these worldly parameters. So for me, you know, there was a point to which I was like feeling excited and celebrating Martha's growth, and then it's like, oh, she's kind of getting up there. She'll have more subscribers than me at some point, and starting to notice it's like what identity feels threatened. It was like, Martha was she started her journey taking my training programs. I was her teacher in that role, and all of these different frames, and I've been doing this for much longer, so I should be more successful. So all this identity was built up around her success being a reflection of where I feel I should be something. So just being able to share that with you, because and just for everyone's reference, like there has to be a ground of trust and like, like to be able to be that vulnerable with someone else. I'm really grateful for that. Um, so this idea of Neptune is basically bringing us, like what it reflects is where we're coming into alignment with truth, the path that is, and all of our ways of really protecting ourselves from the good, true, loving reality that life's got our back and that we're going where we're meant to go, and where we're meant to go is actually like the best possible outcome for ourselves. Like we believe that God's will, so to speak, is going to be some sort of horrible thing. And so like we don't trust. We're afraid of letting go. So we build all these frameworks as a protection from the true love that we already are and that is already given to us. Because like I'm going to be this well-known astrologer, or I'm going to be more successful, and that's like a way of me finding love. Like I'm worthy, I'm valuable. And so we create all these, and it's a very tricky psychology. We create these distortions of comparison around failure and success relative to other people as a way to protect these identities that we believe we need to be in order to affirm where we think our value actually is. It's like underneath that, I'm not an astrologer, I'm not a teacher, I'm not any, like these are just the forms and the, like Ram Dass would be like spirit and drag, like the forms and the ways in which we're taking on these different expressions as a part of our ongoing evolutionary growth. But the truth remains that we do it together. That all of us, we do it together. And the appearance, Saturn, the form, what things look like in the world, like the world's got it wrong. We value things that have absolutely no meaning. And we often miss where the real value is. So I had this thought, and I shared this with you yesterday. Like the day that because of this whole internal process, it felt meaningful to acknowledge. Like the day that you catch up to me in subscriber list just before you pass will be both a moment of total meaninglessness because it has no meaning, and a beautiful moment to acknowledge and bow to the sameness of our path and the holiness and the perfection of it going exactly the way it's meant to, free of judgment. And then you wrote back. Will you share your text message? What you wrote?
Yeah, if I can find it in all our texts here. But yeah, it was something along the lines of yeah, because you were saying yes here. Mm, mm. Oh, I said It's like a sunflower, oak, petunia, and dolphin getting upset if they're different from each other.
Yeah, exactly. Like
Yeah.
it's such a obvious, like the dolphin and the petunia have two very different trajectories, but they're each here to be themselves. They're each here to be fulfilled in the way that they're created to be, and to follow this path, this life that's been designed for whatever experiences they're intending to have. And to begin to judge measures of success according to other people's experiences is to miss the mark in the deepest way. So I want to share one thought, just when we think about this deep Neptunian process where there is a lot of surrender and letting go, one helpful framework that I think is really alive in this is this whole world being an illusion means we don't want to start making it more meaningful than it is, and the roles and the identities that we're playing and the sense of importance. So we get humbled. Like Neptune can really humble us. Like, you're not such a great, important person. Like, you're so, because wherever there's a sense of importance is where other people and circumstances of the world will either reflect the validity of that importance or threaten it. And a deep Neptunian vulnerability is where we're actually creating these mechanisms to protect us from the fact that we can't actually define ourselves on our own. There's a deeper fear that if I don't somehow establish myself, I'm going to be vulnerable or hurt in some essential way. So Neptune can humble what's been inflated. Okay, I'm not great and important, and I'm nothing. But then Neptune will rise up what is degraded. You are not nothing and unimportant. Okay, no, I'm important. I'm a child of God, and I'm here to do great things, and I'm going to achieve. Wait. It's like the moment our own self-concept gets involved is where we create confusion for ourselves. So we want to either be like meaningless and worth nothing, or some kind of exaggerated idea of worth, And that's why the lack of judgment is such a big part of the Saturn Neptune. There's some line in A Course in Miracles that says, and it's a paraphrase, your greatest accomplishments you have often judged as failures, or your greatest withdrawal, when you've withdrawn, these are actually moments where you were progressing, to not look in worldly terms and time and measurements, right? And so like in our own lives, like what's not working or where we're not seeing Saturn proof and evidence, it's because the timeline and the trajectory of our own growth and development is happening beyond the demands and the frameworks that we're trying to create in our own mind. And is it okay if I share one more thing? And
Sure.
then, okay, I'm talking for a while, but because we were sharing this and this comes up now. So people come up a lot in sessions will ask me, am I allowed to have a good relationship in this lifetime? Like, am I going to find love, or will I ever find a meaningful job? And I find those questions to be really interesting because what's really happening in that question isn't the question itself. It's more so revealing a deeper fear that I'm going to be alone. Like, I'm not going to get the love that I want, and so I'm going to be alone. So basically, am I going to be alone and suffer, or am I going to have a meaningful and fulfilling relationship and not suffer anymore? Like, that's kind of what's being. So it's like this idea of salvation being on the outside. Like, is it my fate to be happy, or is it my fate to suffer? That's kind of what's in there, Or if I know I'm not going to get it, then I'll adjust my mindset and I'll think of other things, and But the piece that's often missed in these kinds of questions is, do I want it? And if I want it, what can I do to make myself more available for it? Like, if we, am I going to make money doing meaningful work? Like, the practical answer to that is, do you want to? And then if you want to, you are allowed to, you have permission to explore practically, and this is the Saturn dimension, practically, what do you need to do? What kind of work do you want to do? How would you like to make money? How would you like to live your time? What are you doing right now? What changes can you begin to make? Like, if you want to become more attractive to your ideal partner, watch some videos on how to, work on yourself, become a better viable dating candidate. Every single desire that we have for some sort of dream or aspiration in life If we allow ourselves to want it, it will lead us on a path of self development where we're going to be working on ourselves and improving our conditions in life to be more congruent to that. And in all cases, when we're actively engaged in becoming a person and shifting our life circumstances in congruency with where we want to go, we never ask those questions. Will I get it? Because we're actually living the process of transformation. We're actually living the journey itself where we're actively engaging with the manifestations of our dreams and our desires. And so then we're able to let go of the timeline, the absence of results, or in the ways that we want to, or disappointments along the journey aren't as much of a big deal because we've established a framework in our own personal self development to continue working on ourselves. We're not depending on something on the outside, right? So there's just a lot of power right now in this Saturn Neptune phase. Like whatever adjustments are happening in our lives, so much of this is where we're learning to simply play our part and do our work and to surrender the outcome and the timing and the flow and the circumstances around that work.
Yeah. I'm feeling two things, main things in that. One is, um, yeah, I think there's that element of putting in the work, etc. And also kind of like the precursor to that for me is also honing the ability to tune in on even on an energy body level to what the form of the divine is doing. So like in other words, I've had so many examples. I think probably a lot of all of us have had these kind of examples where there's something I want, right? Like I want blah 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 to happen in my work, or I want blah 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 to happen in relationships, or whatever it is. And I will have this idea in my mind of something I think I want. And then if it's not happening, or I don't feel like it's happening, I can get really upset or frustrated or jealous or whatever. But then when I go tune into my energy body, and this could just be my way, I don't know. But when I tune into my own energy body and kind of like if I'm holding myself and the energetics of existence like a craniosacral session for me for myself, then I suddenly can tune in to the motion of the energy system and what it's actually doing and what it's actually needing and the direction it's actually meant to go and the form it's actually meant to be like if I can kind of tune into my own self like that, it's like I'm tuning into myself as the petunia, right? And it's like, okay, if I'm the petunia, the petunia, it's going to grow. It knows its own divine timing for everything. It knows its own divine form and what it's meant to be becoming. Um, but if my brain were trying to say, well, but I want to be a dolphin,
Right.
then I will not be becoming a dolphin. I'll be really upset, you know? Whereas if I bring in attune to myself with love and kind of gentleness, but presence, I suddenly click with myself and I go, oh, that's what's going on, right? And again, so many examples, but I don't know, let's say, for example, let's pretend I wanted a relationship with somebody or something and it's not happening or something. Okay. And then I can tune into my own body and I go, wait, if I tune in, did I actually want that? Oh, actually, no, I didn't. Right. Right. That can be an idea or, right. Or like this expansion in my business or whatever. I could feel like, oh, I just need to expand, expand, expand. But then I was telling you yesterday, I was tuning into my energy body and I realized, wait a minute, actually, I also need to be able to go in and be quiet. I need some time. And actually, my prayer said this to me again this morning. I really need some time to restore. And if I just kept doing the out, out, out thing, which my brain might think I want, that actually doesn't serve my Saturn needs, you know, like the structures that I actually need to nourish me here as a Earth person. Yeah. Um,
Beautiful. So
yeah.
many of the things that we think we need are just values that we've given to forms because at some point we began to think, oh, this will make me feel good. This will make me feel loved. And that's slowing down and becoming softer and more available to listen, to actually hear what what the truth actually is. Like, if it's like more popularity or another person that will love us a certain way. Like everything, this is the tricky thing I think a lot of us get stuck on when it comes to like manifesting our desires, or just the idea of having a dream and feeling it's okay to want something. Because we know that everything that we want is, in the deepest truth, a quality of being that we are to realize on the inside. And the moment we think, oh, the world's going to make me feel better when this and this happens, we essentially give our power away and we kind of forget truth. Like we forget like the deepest teaching of all teachings, which is right here, right now, like what we actually already are. And so it becomes tricky. We can generate a guilt relative to wanting something. Well, I know I shouldn't want that, or I know wanting that, it's already inside of me. But this is where it gets really tricky, right? There's like, and I mean, I think this is something I can deeply relate to. Just share, since we've already gone there. For years, I feel like I've been avoiding, and really acknowledging this jealousy piece was really huge for me, because it actually allowed me to open the door even more widely to see more of the truth. For years, I sincerely, for a long time, with my newsletter, with my channel, had no strong motive for growth. It wasn't really in my field. I wouldn't look at it for like weeks or a couple months at a time, maybe, if I wasn't active. Once I began a family and more of a need to grow financially, then I kind of began to build more identification with myself as, like consciously focusing my attention towards, I am someone who is now consciously trying to make money through my business, right? And so now I'm more aware of things that I wasn't aware of. One, I'm going to be aware of people who are successful, people that are doing similar work to myself that are successful. I'm going to be noticing things that I didn't notice before, because it wasn't in my field of interest. But what I didn't really do, or what I would only progressively begin to do, is really allow myself to claim it. So there's sort of been this front of like, I'm just going to teach, and if I get views, or if people sign up to my newsletter, or if people join my program or buy this class, great. But I never claimed that I have a business plan, that I have a business orientation, that I'm trying. Well, I don't want to take away from the purity of the teachings, right? Like all of this gets confused, right? Mm-hmm. And so this is something I'm sure so many of us can relate to. A teaching that I've been coming to is, for me to claim that I want to succeed, that I want to make money, that I want to be comfortable in what I earn, and to have very specific worldly goals with how I want to anchor my time and what I'll do in achieving a state of financial ease. What that actually allows me to do, let me really try to find the right words for this, because it was profound for me, so I'm going to take a moment with it. It gives me permission to fully play out the experience of becoming successful, it gives me permission to invest myself in my own development, in moving in that direction. And in so doing, it strengthens me in ways that I wouldn't have otherwise been strengthened. And the insight is, what if these desires that we have in the world, things that we want to achieve, are simply a part of the path of us learning to become emptied? And if I was not to embrace that, there would be a false humility of like someone who has a lot of wonderful things to say, but is afraid to make it big, doesn't want to take up too much energy, doesn't want to take up too much space, But what if actually learning how to occupy more space and hold a larger platform was a part of my own integration of the teachings, clarification of value and worth, trusting and having confidence in myself, right? I wouldn't develop that confidence if I wasn't going to step into a larger platform. It would be like a sort of like, sure, I'm putting it out there, but not really believing in myself. Like, you can't, for myself, I know I can't go bigger and not believe in myself at the same time. I wouldn't feel an integrity. So to go bigger also means clarifying my knowledge, my my own personal realization, coming from a deeper source of personal integrity and truth. It's like all of that would only develop and actually allow myself to embrace this natural impulse that is in me. But if I judge it as, oh, you're just looking for something on the outside, and this is where it's tricky, because if it becomes about like a competitive, I gotta make sure no matter what, I do better than this person, right? There's this other, I mean, after I shared that with you, kind of was flooded with like, oh, thought of two more people that I don't know well, so I'm not gonna share it with them. Right?
Hmm.
Don't just like email people that I'm not going to share this with them. I don't have a personal relationship, but I was like, oh, I've been holding this like internal competitive, and it's simply where I'm weighing their success or lack of it relative to my own. So that's where I could build an identity around the material process itself, and that's a trap that we can again. That's like then we get too high, and then life, if we're lucky, will lower us, right? But again, don't stay low either. Oh, I should just close my channel. I get too much ego in it. I'm not really authentic. I'm not an honest person. It's like no, that's another identity, right? It's another side. It's the other side of the coin. So it's we're going to be purified along this journey of walking the walk that we're here to walk. But it's so I can't emphasize enough how the teaching is alive. I think this is a really big one for all of us right now. It's okay to want what you want, and it's okay to embrace a a more thorough worldly existence. And just think about this too. Like Neptune is the immune system, and like so, if you're not occupying that space with purpose and direction, something else will. You know,
Hmm.
and this world is full of people occupying this space with all kinds of crazy motives and not so sincere intentions. So there's something that we each need to be playing out, and it will dissolve. Like every role, every function, every purpose that we play out in a material sense in this world will come and will go. And if we're honest with ourselves and we're open to the journey, that will happen, and we will be guided for when that is meant to happen in the ways that it's meant to. I think a lot of our fears in life, this is a kind of cliche, but it's true. Like a lot of our fears in life are more so about facing our deeply embedded belief in undeserving. Because if I actually reach this, I'll find out that I'm deserving, which means I'll have to accept that I'm more lovable than I've ever wanted. Interestingly, the extent to which we don't accept that we believe that we're undeserving is where we're going to become very attached to the world, making sure we don't feel undeserving. I
Hmm.
need constant reassurance out there to keep me from feeling what I actually feel about myself. So it's like a paradox, right? Like we have to actually connect with like how we feel about ourselves and say, okay, that's just how I feel about myself. Let's walk this path. Let's walk this journey. Um, I like to really. I've been learning a lot that our self image has nothing to do with who we are, and so we're going to be washed and wish wash back and forth constantly because we're going to constantly try to hold on to, oh, I'm this or I'm this, and so our dreams and our vision for our life, like what lands in this beautiful and inspiring place, is more real than we could understand, and we're allowed to explore it. We're allowed to walk that path. It's just we walk it with God. We walk it with the force of creation that is much more powerful, and it's not going to let us build an illusion for too long. Right? The whole purification process that's really active right now is being emptied as we begin to set the stage for the new cycle.
Yeah. And so, yeah, two things are coming there for me. One is, so this is, as Saturn and Neptune both make their way toward that conjunction on February 20th, 2026 at 0 degrees of Aries, they are finishing their time in Pisces, both of them, but they're
Here,
also
I'll share while you're
finishing,
talking too.
yeah, cool. But they're also finishing their cycle with each other, right? So as you're talking, I'm just feeling how I would love your thoughts on this too, but I think part of what can be happening for a lot of us is our old patterns of our own relationship in ourself between Saturn and Neptune. So like our sense of how are we how are we in this lifetime or other lifetimes used to being in service to God, or like in service to the divine? How are we used to putting into form our devotion to source? All those outdated ways of being, or the ways that we have been, could be coming up right now, like, right? So for example, if we're a person who has been more in the Saturnian version, more of a like not really letting the divine infuse our lives, and the will of the divine to inform how we do the structure, there might be a need to be letting that dissolve a bit more. On the other hand, if we've been someone, I think this is more you, Ari, and probably more me, and probably a lot of people here listening, if we're highly, highly Neptunian or Piscean type of person, maybe we've lived a whole heck of a lot of lifetimes where we've denied our earthly needs, and like the fact that, oh no, we need to be quote unquote successful in a societal sense, because that actually nurtures ourself. But we've been in more of what was ascetic kind of way of being, right? Like, oh, I have no needs. I can just
Yeah.
walk around and beg for food and live in a cave. I think that's been more of probably what a lot of us have done in many lifetimes. So now in this lifetime, I think part of the narrative coming up is, oh, wow, actually, this is a huge deal that I get to land here. I get to land in my body. I get to land in the reality. No, I get to claim that I want to love living as Earth, which means being nourished as Earth, right? And having the structures in place that, yeah, I can buy food for myself and my family, and I can have a house and actually afford it, and all those things. Yeah.
It's so beautiful. It's healing a deep core belief that this world is unsafe.
Mm, mm,
There's been so
mm.
much in that sort of denial of being willing to participate and be in this world. Like, I'm not going to have many needs. In strengthening self authority and strengthening that Saturn dimension, it allows for us to have an experience of total grace where we experience that even here in this world we can be loved.
Mm,
Even here in this world things can be easy.
mm.
There can be peace, there can be joy. I'm saying our longing for that is so great, which is why it's so much easier on the one hand to just be completely, to deny, push it away, or to just feel deeply victimized by the absence of that. But like, we can consciously work to manifest and bring in a much more beautiful expression of heaven here on earth. That's what I'm
Yeah.
hearing in that share.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're open to share a little bit about your past and knowledge that you have of your past lives.
Hmm. Hmm.
Great, because you shared something I thought was really meaningful. Like, I know for myself that I have had a lot of like denying worldly success, and I think for me that's created a shadow. Like, not integrating this piece has then resulted in something not being fully balanced. And so again, playing out these experiences where I actually allow myself to claim and choose and step into with integrity an experience of success, and allowing myself to feel rested in the most practical physical way, completely new for me
Mm.
as far as I'm aware
Hmm.
on my soul path. And you shared something that I thought was, it's another dimension that's really profound. I would love to hear you talk about it.
Yeah. Do you want to just come out of the screen share?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because I'll share this, and then I'll share what you said to me, and you can, because what you said to me about what I'm about to share was so deeply touching for me, and I went, oh wow. Yeah. So for me, I've shared this probably other places in videos somewhere, but it's a little bit vulnerable. But anyway, yeah. So I have a very, very clear memories of my most recent lifetime, and I think all of the lifetimes I can personally remember were similar archetype. So in my last lifetime, I remember myself so clearly as a very powerful village woman healer. in southwestern India. And yeah, so what I remember is that I was, very, 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 very powerful healer, could kind of heal almost anything. And I was a midwife and, death midwife, birth mid, all of those things. Um, and but I was living in a hut on the side of the village, ostracized and not really integrated at all into the life of the village. And I had never, I don't think I'd had any lovers, or I definitely hadn't had children. Um, and the men would come to my hut basically and beat me up like all the time. It's like a very suffered a lot in that lifetime. But I was used and abused for my power, right? So what I was sharing with you is that now as my own, like the petunia of me or the dolphin of me, that is like I have this I'm here to be what it is I'm here to be. And a big part of what my guides have been asking me to do is fully embody my power. And that's what I've been holding space for everybody in my circles to be doing, is we are really being asked to, uh, I think most of us, if not all of us, have had these past lives where it's been very scary to be the healer, the South Node in Virgo, right? To be the healer, to be the seer, the all this spiritual gifts that we all have in our own ways, and to land fully in the power that we are. But I think these transits we're in right now are really, really strongly supporting us to be releasing that trauma and then also fully incarnating as the full being, the full power that we are. So that's what I've been personally working with really strongly, especially since the eclipse season in September. Um, and and as I land fully in my body, well, part of what's going on is then my reach is expanding, and because that's part of my destiny as me. That's part of what I'm here to be, is somebody who's more yeah, public and all of that, which is not true for everybody, but it is true for me. But I was noticing as that was arising, and this my expansion, it was happening very fast in the last week or so. There was this fear, this visceral remembering of what it was to be beaten up for because of my power, right? So I shared this with you, and you said something along the lines of, "Oh, wow, that's so beautiful, Martha. You're really in this lifetime now, you have the opportunity to be loved in your power."
That's it. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and I went, "Oh,
That's it.
ah." Right. And I think that's so true for so many of us, right?
Yeah. And that's it right there. It's like the path for each one of us is going to be, keep it simple, to bring love where it was lacking.
Yeah.
There's no judgment about the form that our lives take, whatever it involves or doesn't involve. The entire journey here is just about the restoration of love, bringing it all back home. So any part of ourself in our mind and our thinking that's been judged and shamed and no, it can't be that, or that's not okay, or we've been hurt. The only path back home is where all of that is looked at. Just, I see you too. What? Yep, you too. You're really me too. Yes, you're allowed. All of it gets brought back into love. That's whenever I ask the question like, who am I? Sometimes I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing, and the answer always comes, you are love. And it's both incredibly intangible, because it doesn't usually solve it in a direct way any of my questions. But then I realize that it does. Oh, you there? I lost your video for a second.
Okay, I'm good.
Then it becomes very tangible because to be love is to not know anything but that. And so it's like this journey is one of, especially if you see all the judgment and the crystallized forms of this is how I am or how I should be. You see this a lot with parents, right? It's like when the child does something inappropriate, you can really tell when for that parent, it's like bringing up and reflecting where that parent has been holding on to a shame. It's like life is going to push us in ways that are going to bring us to our shame. Of like, oh, I can never let that out of the bag, or I can never be this, right? And our path for fulfillment is actually restoring love to all of these places. bringing love back to every part that's been judged. So just to think of that framework. So right now with Saturn and Neptune in this final phase with each other, and this is like such a big part of what's happening. It might feel like a lot of things are falling apart and dissolving and not very clear, very incredibly ambiguous. Or it might feel like there are these things happening beyond our control, and it just, life is taking on its own destiny. Interesting, like Pisces, Neptune stuff, it's like the water, right? Like, so water will flow all the way down to the lowest place. It's thorough. It's not going to escape anything. It's not going to stay up here. It's going to go down, down, down. But if you've been down for a long time, you might finding yourself, the water level might be rising, and suddenly you're like overflowing the vessel. You know what I'm saying? Like, we could experience either extreme of this process, this state of like all of the low places having been filled, and there's some sort of abundance manifesting. Or we are trying to be up here, and life saying you got to go down. You got to let yourself become nothing and guided so you can become the form and live the path that is for your best and for everyone's best.
Yeah. So it's like ultimately, I think part of what's going on here, just to restate it, is that we have Saturn and Neptune coming. I mean, they're already basically kind of together-ish, but they're really, really, really
Well,
coming
it's funny,
to
they don't actually ever meet until they enter Aries.
until
Yeah.
exactly right. But it's like we get the best of both worlds, right? If we really hold it and are present with it, I think that's the potential is for us to get the best of the Saturn holding us in that inner elder wisdom self that we are, and that is existence is like, hey, like really subtly attuning to what are the needs of our earth world, our earth self, and being very, very present in that way and grounded and all of that. And the Neptunian, like, well, yeah, but the point here is the knowing of the divine that's and the truth of the divine that's way beyond what our minds could possibly conceive of, working together. That's so beautiful, right? Yeah. Mm.
It's interesting to think too. So I'll share the screen briefly just to take a look at this again. Once they move into the new phase, I mean, for a whole year, Saturn's been behind Neptune. And then what happens once we get into February is for the first time, Saturn will be in front of Neptune. So you can think of it as like right now, Saturn is behind Neptune, form is behind love,
Mm.
structure is behind truth.
Mm.
We're used to thinking that structure is more real than the truth because the truth is not something you can grab onto, and yet it's more real than anything that we can grab onto. That's sort of the intangible nature of Neptune Saturn. And so what we thought is so real and solid needs to be redefined. And truth, love will never say no, bad, wrong, horrible. We say that. These are our judgments. All that's happening is a reallotment of value and meaning, a redesignation of purpose. We thought I meant this, but I really am not that. We thought this meant that, but it's not that at all. That everything is actually only real and meaningful as it's defined by the truth. And so let this happen now. To offer that as a prayer and a blessing for all of us. Let's just trust it. Embrace
Mm.
that it's for our best. And it's always never just your best or mine, it's our best. Always ours. But when
Mm.
Saturn crosses into that new phase, it's not like suddenly form will become more important than love. It just speaks to a new cycle of beginning to move forward and crystallizing, giving tangible form and gradual development and strengthening to the clarity of purpose of how love and truth wants to act and live through us. This is a very subjective phase. It's going to take some time, but we can really understand that this is a big function of what that new cycle will correspond to. There can bring a lot more energy and fire and empowerment progressively as Saturn separates from Neptune. That's a helpful framework for thinking about that. And by the way, I'll be giving a talk on the 22nd of this month, focusing on the core transits of 2026, specifically oriented around what it really means collectively and personally for Saturn and Neptune to be in this new phase. So it's a free talk. I'll make sure that on my video, it's in the description below.
Mine too.
And while we're there, do you want to share the talk that you're giving?
Yeah, yeah. Well, and going along, so you're doing this free talk on December 22nd, about the transits coming up. And I actually have a free astrology of 2026 mini guide. So that'd be a perfect
Oh, cool.
pairing, actually. Because in there I have a sort of like pretty pictures of a lot of these things, a lot of these same themes you're talking about. So I'll put both links with my video. Yeah, and then I'm holding something on December 19th, which is on this is a slightly different topic, but similar-ish, where that is the day of the new moon. Very, very, very powerful new moon at 28 degrees of Sagittarius, and so conjunct the galactic center. Anyway, that day, my guides actually are having me do is hold a gathering that is where I'm going to be channeling for us each to come into ourself and click with and find what is that being, what is that light of ourself that is here to step in as ourself as new earth. So it's exactly what we're talking about now that I'm thinking of it. It's like, in a sense, it's like, well, okay, yeah, I'm going to click and find, oh, whoa, I am the petunia, or I am the dolphin, or I am
Mm.
the butterfly, or whatever. And to feel it, like not only have it in our mind, but like really click
Beautiful.
and feel it in our own way. And then, because yeah, the way I'm being guided is that as we move into 2026, as we move toward that Saturn Neptune conjunction, among other things, there is this shift of energy where instead of having just this dream of, oh, we're here to create the world we want and it's an idea, it's like, well, yeah, but we actually came to be it.
Mm.
So let's be it now. And again, each in our own way, right? And yeah, so that's, yeah, December 19th. That's
I
what.
love that. And that also feels like it's really allowing ourselves to receive what is the greater truth unfolding right now during this deep transitional time. I love the imagery of accessing, oh, I'm the dolphin, I'm the petunia. Of course, not as an identity of like this is, but to really grasp our holy function.
Yeah.
That like there's like this world isn't a distraction. It's this world is where we realize the truth, and so there's deep relevance and purpose, and every experience is one with our journey, and the walk that we're here to walk is ultimately in its highest understanding, only serving as a way to demonstrate the power and the strength of the love that we are. There's nothing less than that this world is really designed for. Everything else is a mistake of thinking.
Mm.
So to really catch the truth of, oh, I am designed to be this. This is my, I've shared this quote on my channel recently, but I'll bring it forward now. It's from A Course in Miracles, and to paraphrase it, it's something to the likes of, if you consider that we each are hosts to God, would God designate any of its would God designate its temple as undeserving of itself?
Oh.
Right? If we are hosts of the divine, would it be possible that we would ever be thought of as unworthy of the divine?
Mm.
Right. My daughter just came in, so I had to resume. But I think that's the thought of how could it possibly be that if we are designed to be hosts of God, that there would be anything other than greatness, and not greatness in the way that our ego wants to conceive of it, but greatness in terms of like we are divine, holy, loving beings. Why would this world not be in conformity to that? We're either host to God or hostage to the ego. Is another great line that I love from the course.
Yeah. Well, and again, the South Node in Virgo, right? And this new moon coming on the 19th is actually squaring where the solar eclipse was at 29
Let me share
Virgo,
this. It's that's so profound.
right?
The last time we spoke, you mentioned that as well. Um, so that's happening on the 19th.
Yeah, December 19th.
Yeah. So we're still in that midpoint between eclipses,
Mm.
and this new moon is very tightly squaring Neptune
Squaring
at
Neptune.
gestation direct. Wow.
Wow. And then the solar eclipse on September 21st, 2025 was at 29 Virgo, so opposite where Neptune.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
Wow. Wow, wow.
So I
Yeah.
mean, this really further speaks to this idea of whenever the sun and moon are between the nodes, this is the midpoint, and so that last solar eclipse during the last eclipse season with the 29 Virgo, an exact square to this right now. So this
Mm.
is such a midpoint energy, and there's so much integration and evolutionary movement that happens. What a powerful equinox weekend this will be, or
Solstice,
solstice.
solstice.
I meant to say, yeah,
Yes.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And I'll just throw in also what's stationing to go direct on January 2nd is Chiron. So,
Oh,
yeah, right?
interesting.
Right. Again,
It
yeah.
stations direct in an exact square with Jupiter retrograde, which
Yes.
is the ruler of this new moon.
Yes. Oh my God.
Wow.
Oh wow. I didn't even think about that. Oh wow. Wow.
Well,
Right.
this is
Wow.
definitely another conversation, but yeah, there's a lot of powerful intuitive movement and individuation happening. There's like clarity and like sort of I'll just say like what comes to me right now, and I'd be very curious what insights come through you, especially like when you're in that space of channeling it on the 19th, like what you
Mhm.
access.
Mhm.
There's the truth to our path, and accepting it might require a little more trust or courage than we're comfortable offering to ourselves. The
Wow.
in the process of individuation, and means we have to be willing to go to move forward in ways that we haven't moved forward before, and we can't get that external feedback all the time. And so there might be a lot of doubt, and I think there's a teaching around the doubt doesn't mean you shouldn't do it. That's what
Mhm.
comes to me in that right now.
Yeah. And the very last thing I want to say is like it's like I'm thinking about like if we imagine a dolphin, for example, uh and we imagine a dolphin kind of somehow this wouldn't happen, right? But let's pretend the dolphin is like, well, I'm really just source. I'm a divine
Right,
being
there we
and
go. Yeah,
right? Like how hilarious, right? It's like, well, I mean, I don't know, I should just be kind of give myself up to the stars or something. And it's like, well, but you're a dolphin. You're adorable and amazing. And like you bring so much joy when we get to see you. Like we want, like when I go to the ocean, I walk to the beach from my house and I can see dolphins. And I'm like, wow, it's like I want the dolphin to be fully enjoying being a being of earth, an ocean and in the wow, just jumping and playing and right, that's what I feel so alive being with the dolphins because they are fully, it's like they are in a sense doing Neptune Saturn conjunction like
so
in their
beautiful.
yeah.
So beautiful. I mean, that
Mm,
makes me think like I have a lot of conversations and just I think a lot about how I don't feel very identified as a man
mm,
on the inside. It's more like it's beyond gender, and I really enjoy more and more doing things that just feel like generating a lot of testosterone, like these qualities that I've associated with like general male building things, fixing problems, working really hard. And I'm like, oh, there are qualities to my human biology that I'm just loving. And I'm like, it's allowing all that is to respectfully inhabit and make use of and utilize fully the unique conditions of our manifest experience of our incarnation. And there's just something peaceful about that, not denying the earthly part, really celebrating it. I mean, I'm getting from you more of a, like loving it, adoring it, respecting it, appreciating it.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
beautiful.
Thank you, Ari.
All
So it
right,
was
thank you as
wonderful.
well. So I'll put all links to your talk, your website, your YouTube channel, as well as all of my stuff in the description below.
Same.
And you opened up, so you want to close us up?
Yeah, I mean, you feel complete with all of this.
Oh yeah, do you?
Yeah, I feel great. But yeah, I would love to. I know we would both love to hear your thoughts, your feelings, what comes alive for you here. What are those? Like, I'd be curious. Each of us have just such a different relationship to that Saturn Neptune combo in this lifetime and other lifetimes. Like, are there things you're noticing coming up that are releasing that are maybe gifts? And yeah, what do you feel when you tune in, like to your dolphin, to your petunia, to your
Mm,
sunflower, whatever?
beautiful.
Um, yeah, how does that feel in your body? And
Mm.
we would love to hear. And then, yes, definitely sign up for Ari's free event on the 22nd. Definitely enjoy my free uh, Astrology of 2026 guide. And if you feel called to come to the one on December 19th, that's awesome. And actually, the big thing I'm hosting that's most in service of all of this, what I'm doing is a 3 month journey that starts January 7th, goes from January 7th to March 25th. So is the first quarter of 2026 and is all about supporting us as it's called the New Earth Sacred Leadership Activation Journey.
Mm.
So yeah, for people who really want to be supported to be the dolphin of you, that's where to go for
Is that the
that.
tagline? A
No,
space where you can be supported to be the dolphin of you?
it's a great. I should have done that. Yeah. Okay.
Wonderful.
Yay. Thank you. Thank you. Thank
Thank you.
you. See you all soon.